Welcome back for another episode of Mr. Fix-It the Realtor. I'm Zach Lipson with the Jason Martin Group, and on this episode, I'm going to show you how to install tile. Also, check out my sweet intro coming up now. Hey, so we're back in a familiar place, my basement bathroom. After having it fully waterproofed, I now have to replace one of the walls here. So the first thing I had to go ahead and do was install a piece of cement board, and I used some backer-on screws to drive this into the studs, make sure it stays in place. The next thing I'm going to do is figure out the exact size of the tiles I'm going to use. I've got a little device here which I'll use to cut the tile with. If you look here, you'll see there's this little piece here that it acts as a blade to score the tile. So after I measure and mark, I'll do this. And then ultimately, once I'm done measuring and marking and I've scored it enough times, I'll go ahead and just apply pressure here, and it'll snap in half at that mark. Now, because my buddy Vargas has my tile saw, I have to do this all by hand. And because truthfully, this little wheel thing here is hard to use, I've gone ahead and just used a sharp, brand new utility knife blade, and I'll score it repeatedly. I'm going to show you here how I do that. So here's my actual piece that I'm going to use as a template that we saw in the corner before. And now I'm going to actually tape this on here. I want my finished edge on this side because I want it as straight as possible. I don't even have to mark it. I can just use this. So I've got my utility knife. I'm just going to score this. I'm actually going to turn it over because I want to make sure I get even cuts and scoring on both sides of this. Otherwise, it won't be a clean break. The reason I do this versus this thing, again, it would be very hard to do this by hand. It's just very difficult. So I've sufficiently scored that. You can see a bit of a line cut there. You can sort of feel it. So I'm going to go ahead, put this right here, and if I've scored it sufficiently, it'll snap right along that line. There we go. I've gone ahead and put some of my thinset in the bucket, which I'm going to mix up. We'll mix it as needed. I also have my drill here, which I will mix with. It's a little soupier than I want, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Kind of want it to be sort of a peanut butter consistency. The first thing I'm going to do is some people call it back buttering. We're going to go ahead and just put this on there. Make sure it's nice and snug. I'll wipe off the excess. Anything in here I'm going to caulk over, you won't see it. So at least for the bottom part, I'm just going to back butter these. I have a level here too, so I can check and make sure everything is level. I'm done with the bulk of this. They kind of messed up my order, so I'm missing some of my beveled edges on this side. So I will have to wait until I have those in to finish this side. But for now, I have everything else here, minus a few little pieces. Mainly this one. It's a little more difficult to cut with that little tool. And then I'll go ahead and clean everything up. So now I'm finished putting all the tile on the wall. I'm now going to grout it. Here is my mix. I've got a white mix, non-sanded grout. There's all different types of colors. It says for joints up to 1/8 of an inch. So you want to make sure you read the box, whatever you buy, make sure it is what you want to use. And then once I've got this sort of towards a peanut butter consistency, I'm going to use this float to fill all the joints in with that. And then any excess I'll wipe off with a slightly damp sponge. And when I have let it dry, then I will give it a good wipe down to make sure all excess grout has been wiped off the tiles. Mix this up with my putty knife here. You want to make sure that anything you're using with the grout is clean, because that in turn will make your grout dirty, and the grout is what you're going to see on the tile. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and apply the grout to the wall here. I've gone ahead and cleaned all the joints here to remove any excess thinset that's there, so it's nice and clean, and it's not going to get in the way of any of the grout we put on here as well. So I've mixed the grout. I'm going to let it sit for now about 10 minutes so that it actually firms up a little bit more. Right now it's kind of like a peanut butterish consistency, but we want to thicken a little bit as it dries. Then we'll go ahead and stir it again, and then we'll go ahead and apply it. And then you take a little bit at a time, you don't have to get too much. So I still have a good bit left. A little goes a long way. I did this all probably about 15 minutes. I'm gonna let it sit for about 20 minutes now. Then I will go ahead and take a damp sponge, wipe it down, and then a couple hours later, I will go ahead and wipe it down with a cloth. It'll be mostly dry to the touch, but we still want to let it cure for at least 24 to 48 hours. Recommend longer. And then it'll be ready to use after a little bit of caulking around the corners.
Thanks for watching this episode of Mr. Fix the Realtor. I hope you enjoyed learning how to install tile. And if you have additional questions about this, please let me know and I'll be happy to help you. Stay tuned and make sure to subscribe. Check out the link below, right there.